Yeah, hello all. Good morning.
Good morning.
Today we thought of starting modularization techniques, but we have few leftover topics like conditional statements. We are already aware of if statement, but we need to understand more details of if statement. And we have another statement called case statement. We need to see how this case statement is going to work, right? So we call this as conditional statements, and we also need to see few loop control statement. How we control the loop based on a specific scenario. Okay, so that we call as loop control statements. We'll see these conditional statements and loop control statements, and then we'll start modulation techniques. Okay, so what is the use of conditional statements in SAP ABAP? To control the flow of the program. Okay, to control the flow of the program, we use conditional statement to control the flow of program execution. Okay, to control the flow of program execution, we use conditional statements, right? In which scenario, which piece of code should be executed, right? So we control that using if statement or case statements. Both are comes under control statements. If and case. Okay. So when we use if statement, when we use case statement for conditional programs, right? Control to control the program execution. The syntax for if statement is if condition code to be executed, else if condition code to be executed, else if will continue, depends on multiple conditions. You can add multiple else if statements if you have multiple conditions. And what is default? If all the above conditions are failed, else. Okay, default code we keep it in the else part. Okay, here in the if statement, when this particular code is executed,
Condition.
condition is true. Okay, so it executes this code block when the condition is true. Okay, by using else if we can check multiple conditions. Okay, we can also use nested if statements. Nested if statements in the sense if within the if. So here we have already one if statement and we are closing the if statement by which statement? End if.
And
We are closing it by end if. Within the if and end if, for example, if you take this block, if first if block, you can also add one more if statement. Okay, you can add one more if statement. What do we call this if statements? Nested if statements. Okay, if required, you can add if statements within the another if statement. That is called nested if statements. Okay, nested statements. Is everyone clear?
Yes.
If, right, when if and else if are failed, this condition is false, then which statement will execute?
Else.
Else statement will execute. Okay, so if statement, when you are defining the if statement, we need to make sure only one condition is true, right? You should not keep, right, if statement with two true conditions. For example, if a equal to b, then do something. Else if b equal to a, then do something. Now tell me, both statements are same or not? For example, value a contains 10, value b contains 10, right? Now, which condition is true?
Both.
First condition is true because a contains 10, b contains 10, a equal to b, right? Variable a contains 10, variable b contains 10, a equal to b. That is true. What about the second condition, b equal to a? Is it true or not?
Yes, sir. It's true.
It is also true, right? Then which statement it should execute? So don't put multiple true conditions, right? Always put unique conditions. Okay. Now, if you put two true conditions, which one will execute?
First one. First if
It
condition.
will execute first one and completes the process. It won't come again into another true statement. Okay? It will execute the first available true statement and complete the if statement. Okay? Even though if you add multiple true statements, it's not going to execute multiple times. Okay? Is everyone clear?
Yes.
So in if statement, right? So what are all the conditions you can pass when you talk about the condition? Equal to, greater than, greater than or equal to, less than, less than or equal to, right? Between, not between. CP means contains the pattern. Pattern. If you want to check whether this value contains SAP in between the text, somewhere in the text, right? Somewhere in the text, if SAP text is there in that variable, then the condition is true. Then we use CP. We have more like not contains the pattern. We have more. We have many other parameters, but most frequently we use this equal to, greater than or equal to, less than or equal to, between and not between. Okay, these values frequently we use, and even check the pattern. We use contains pattern. Okay, we'll see how this pattern will work when we are working on string operations.
Not equal to, sir.
Oh, sorry, I didn't include not equal to. Not equal to. Okay. So instead of this, you can use operators directly. Okay. So that if you directly use operators, right, the system doesn't need to convert again into the GE into operator. Less than, sorry, greater than or equal to, greater than or equal to, less than or equal to. Okay, between, not between. These are just keywords, not the operators. Either you can use this one or operator. Okay, you
So
can
is
use.
initial
Sorry,
is initial also considered this?
is initial also we do using, yes. Is initial, is not initial, right? These are also we do, including if sub or C, right? Or we do a lot of things, but I just want to mention few operators. Okay. Then in if statement, you can pass condition like this. If LV underscore value is greater than 10 and LV underscore value is less than 1. It should be greater than 10 but less than which one? One value. So the value should be between 1 to 10, right? As per this condition. So you can also use and to add multiple values in the condition, right? You can keep on adding more and like this. Okay? Is everyone clear? You can add more conditions like this. If keep this in the bracket, if value is greater than 10 and less than 1 and for example department equal to some SAP. You can add multiple conditions like this. Now here two set of conditions. Value should be between 1 to 10 and department should be SAP. Right? You are separating this and this. Now both should be true. Okay? Now this condition will execute when this condition is true and this condition is true. Okay? Instead of and, what you can use?
Or
Or also you can use. We should be very careful when we are using or, because it will check either this statement is true or this statement is true. If any one statement is true, it will execute the logic. Okay, is everyone clear? It won't check both statements. If any one statement is true, it will execute the corresponding logic. Okay, so when we use or like this, if a equal to 10 or a equal to 20. So now when, so either value contains 10 or 20, so this statement will execute. It won't check for both conditions, right? Now if you use and here, is it a proper condition?
no such.
That's never going to happen, right? A equal to 10 and a equal to 20 at the same time. It's an invalid statement, correct? At the same time, A should not be 10 and 20, right? Either 10 or 20. So it's not a valid statement. It's never going to be true. Okay, so here we can use greater than, less than, between and everything. Okay, now we have case statement. It is also one of the conditional statement. When we use case statement,
When condition matches.
so
Fixed
when we use exact value, when we use exact value, for example, when city, sorry, first case on which variable you wanted to use this condition. Here you cannot have a choice to add multiple variables in the condition, right? You can add only one variable. For example, take it as LV or department, LV department. So you can add condition only on this department variable. When SAP do something, when Java do something, right? And what is default?
Others.
Others do something, and end case, right? Here what do we pass? The exact value, equal to, always equal to, it is always equal to, it won't check greater than, less than, right? Greater than or equal to, less than or equal to, it always check for which one?
Equal to.
Equal to, exact value it should match, then only case statement will work. Okay, so but in if statement we have a flexibility of adding multiple conditions based on multiple variables, right? We can check whether internal table contains data or not, right? We can do all those things, but here in the case statement we can check whether the precise value is available or not. Okay, here only check condition on a single variable. Okay, okay, this is case statement. So when we need to use multiple variables, different, greater than, less than, all this flexibility, we go for if statement, right? So if you need only exact value, depends on one single variable, then which statement is suitable?
Case statements.
Case statement. Okay. Give me a minute, 1 second. I'll just join back. Yeah, sorry. So let me create a simple program. Anyway, we are going to use this our applications. Okay, let's assume we have two parameters, value 1 and value 2. Let's build conditions on this. How to write if statement? If end if. So we close if statement by end if, right? And we need to add condition for the if. Okay, if p underscore value 1 equal to p underscore value 2, do something. You need to add code here. You can write select statements, you can write loop statements, right? You can write read statements, you can do any calculations here within this code part. That depends on your scenario. Which code block we need to execute, that we decide here. Okay. I'll just display some output. Okay. If this is true, same values. Okay. If you want to add one more condition, if you want to check one more scenario, else if. Else if is optional. Okay. Else and else if are optional. Okay. Else if p underscore value 1 is greater than p underscore value 2. This is another statement. Then check one more. If you want to check one more statement, else if p underscore value 1 is less than p underscore value 2. Okay. Tell me, is there any multiple true statements here?
No.
All are unique statements. There is no chance that if p underscore value 1 is greater than value 2, then there is no chance of another true statement, right? The next statement we are checking is less than, right? Either it should be equal to, greater than, or less than. What if all the above statements are failed or false? Then do something here. Okay, right? Default logic. Okay, in the else statement, the default logic will execute. Keep a condition. I'll give 10 and 10 again, same values. Execute. So which statement will execute? Now both parameters contains value 10. F5, this condition is executing. Okay. Is it going to execute any other condition, any other true condition? No. It will complete the process. If it is 20, if 8, now parameter 1 is 10 and parameters 2 is 20. Now which statement should execute? This one. This is true, right?
Yes.
1 is less than 2. This will execute. Okay. Let me leave it blank. Let's see what will happen. Which condition will execute. Now variable 1 is 20, sorry 10, and variable 2 is blank, no value. It is considering blank is also some value and treating variable 1 is greater than variable 2. Okay, even it is blank, it is not checking for the value, it is checking for just greater than or not. Second statement is executing. Okay. Both, I'll leave both of them blank. It's executing first one. Okay. If you remove this second statement and we'll try. Less than statement I have removed. I'm not checking the less than statement. Right? Value 1 less than value 2. Now value 1 providing 2, value 2, 20. Are we handling this scenario? Value 1 less than 20.
No, sir.
Now we are not handling. We commented it. We are not handling that scenario. Right? We are just handling greater than scenario, not less than scenario. Then which statement will work?
Else one.
Else part will work because we are not handling that logic in the if statement. Okay. Is everyone clear on if statements? So we use variables here. We use a work area hyphen field names, for example, like this equal to some value. Like this, we can use this in the conditions. Okay. Then how we use a case statement? You can, sorry, we'll see one more scenario here. You can use if statement to check between, right? You can also use between, okay? Between. You can ask, right? You can also check like this between these values. If the parameter value lies between these two values, this statement will be true. You can also check like this, okay? To check the between, okay? Now let's see case statement. There are other parameters. We'll see when we are working on them. What is the syntax of case statement? Case, end case, when others. When others is default. Okay. Case, what we need to provide here? Variable name, parameter name, or work area column name. You can pass here. Okay. In our case, we'll just see value 1. Can we pass multiple parameters?
No.
No, not possible. We can build case statement on only one variable or one parameter or one work area column. Okay. When 10, when 11. We cannot check greater than here. So case statement always check the exact value. It won't allow you to check greater than, less than. Exact value, right? It will check the suitable scenarios, right? When we use case statement, for example, if you need to check a department, if you need to execute conditions by specific department or country, right? Or region or state, they're all fixed values, right? We cannot check greater than India, less than India, greater than, for example, city, Hyderabad, less than Hyderabad. We cannot check like that, right? They're all fixed values, right? Yes or no? So in that case, we go for case statements. Okay? Is everyone clear?
Can we use case inside?
Nested case, right? 1 second.
If you want exact value for the provided input, then we can use case in.
We provide exact value. It won't check greater than, less than, right? The other thing is you can use R condition here, under R condition here. When 20, sorry, don't use when one more time, just like this. You can use R condition, okay? Either 10 or 20, again, exact value, but either this or this, okay? You can use R condition. About using case within the case, let's try to use it in the when condition. Case value 2. When 21. Okay. This is called nested case statement. Case within the case. But always make sure the case what you open within this when, right? You should close within this when statement only. You should close this here. You cannot close this at the end here, right? You should close here only. Is everyone clear?
Yes, sir.
Is everyone clear on case statement?
Yes, sir.
We have to. Let me show you two other important things. We have two loops available, conditional loops. We call them as conditional loops. They are do loop and while loop. Okay, do loop and while loop. It is do is unconditional loop. Okay, I'm saying like it is. We don't pass any condition, but we pass how many times it should run for do loop. How many times you need to execute a specific logic. Where we pass that in the do loop. But if you want to pass some condition, which loop we use? While loop. Okay, we use while loop when we need to execute loop the loop conditionally. Don't compare it with our loop and end loop. What is the purpose of loop and end loop? To
To
loop
process.
the internal table records into work area. But here we are talking about conditional loops, right? What is this for? To execute any specific block of code or specific logic for a certain amount of times, for so many times, or if you want to repeat it based on some condition. Okay, we are not dealing with internal table records here. This loop is to repeat the execution of any specific code for particular number of times. Okay. So when this while loop will execute, as long as the condition is true, it will execute for certain amount of certain number of times, as long as whatever the condition we pass in the loop, right, while loop, right, it is true. For example, if you pass a condition which is always true, what will happen? For example, if you pass a condition which is always true, like A equal to B, B equal to A scenario, what we check, it is always true, right? If you pass 10 and both values to 10,
Yes,
then
sir.
how many times this while loop will execute?
Only one time.
Only one time.
Infinite.
One time.
We are
Infinite.
saying it executes as long as the condition is true, right? If you pass a condition which is true forever, then while loop will try to execute the code forever. It won't come out of the loop. Okay,
No,
clear?
it executes till the condition is true.
As long as the condition is true, it will execute. Then it will go into infinite loop because it won't come out, right, because a equal to b, we are passing 10 to both a and b. A equal to b forever, right? Then loop will try to execute forever, it won't come out of the loop, right? So when you are passing conditions to the while loop, so be careful that we are not passing uh, a condition forever true. Okay, is everyone clear? We'll see one example. Let's see the syntax. Do how many times and do. What is the code block you want to execute here? Okay, what is the code block you want to execute here? While condition and while and whatever the code you want to execute. Okay, when we need to repeat a specific functionality for certain amount of time or for certain number of times, we go for either do or while loop. Okay, don't compare it with our loop which we are using on the internal table. That is to, what is the purpose of it? Loop the internal table records into work area. Okay. For example, if you want to close the loop, how to close the loop? If you want to terminate the loop, what is the statement we use to terminate the loop? Exit. Force terminate. Even before the condition is reached, if you want to terminate it, what is the statement we need to use?
Eliminate the loop.
Exit.
Exit. We have one more statement. Continue. What this continue will do? It won't stop the loop. It won't exit the loop. What it will do? When the continue statement is reached, it will stop the current iteration and go to the next one. Okay. For example, when the loop index is 2, when the continue statement is executed, right? It will stop the second iteration. It won't go further. It will continue with the third iteration. Okay. We can also use in our loop and end loop, continue and exit. If you want to exit the loop, we can use exit. If you want to stop the current record processing in the loop and continue with the next record, we can use continue. Okay. Is everyone clear?
Repeat once again.
Do we don't need any condition. Do 10 times and do some code. You can write any code, including loops, select statements, read statements, whatever. You can call functions, methods. How to check the loop count? How to check the loop count?
Loop count of hyphen.
Sorry, sy hyphen
Hyphen count. Oh, sorry.
index,
Index.
comma sy hyphen index index. System variable which tracks the loop count. Keep a breakpoint. Here we are not using any condition or variables or parameters. Just how many times it should execute. Repeat. We are keeping inside that. I'm not passing any values because we are not using them. Observe the loop index 1. Index is set to 1. It will print the value. Again, index is 2. It will execute whatever the functionality available here, including select statements, everything. Loop index is 3. Tabix is not changing. Why? Because we are not dealing with internal table records, right? There is no effect on the tabix here. So this is how many times the loop is executed? 10 times. The loop index is 10. Okay. Very important interview question. Difference between tabix and index. SY tabix and SY index. So SY tabix we use in internal tables to know the row position. So which position of record we are currently processing. SY index we use in conditional loop statements to check the current loop
Loop
number,
count.
right? What is the current loop iteration? Is everyone clear? This is how we write do. Okay. Now while loop. So what is the property of while loop? It executes as long as the condition is true. Yes or no?
Yes.
For example, some condition while p underscore value 1 is less than p underscore value 2. And while this should execute. Now, if you pass values like this 10 and 20, it is always less than, right? P underscore value is always less than p underscore value 2, right? Yes or no?
Yes.
Yes.
Until unless we do something else to increase the value, right? Until unless we increase the value based on some condition. For example, in every loop iteration, we add p underscore value 1 equal to sy hyphen index plus 1. What we are doing here? We are doing it plus 1. First time, sorry, not index plus 1. It will take a lot of time to reach it. P underscore value plus 1. So that every time we are increasing value by 1. In the first loop iteration, if you pass 10, 10 is the actual value. In the first loop iteration, we are setting it to 11. In the second one, setting it to 12. Third one, setting it to 14. Like that, we are keep on increasing the value, right? So after certain amount of loop iterations, this is going to be greater than or not. P underscore value will become greater than value 2, right? After certain loop iterations, because we are doing plus 1 every time. Then this condition will fail. Yes or no?
Yes.
Let's check this. Then while loop will stop. Yes, keep a breakpoint. If you don't use this special logic to increase the count, to increase the value, it will go into infinite loop, right? 10, 20. Okay, right statement. And we are doing plus 1. What is the index? Index is 1. We are doing plus 1. Now it become 11. One more time. Become 12 now. 14. Now it's become 8, 19, because we are doing plus 1 every time. Now is it going to work? Now both are 20. Now is it going inside the while loop or not?
Yes.
How it will go? Value 1 should be less than, right? But both are equal to.
Yes,
Should
sir.
not go. Why it is going? Even though we use less than.
Thank you.
Looks like we are using. There is some extra space here. Let me remove this extra space. We should have used numeric type. We remove the space and try. Because of that empty space, right? It did not go. We should have taken a numeric type. Okay. Character types are not suitable for these counters, right? We should take numeric type. Then it should work. Okay. The while loop is failed when the condition is failed. Okay. We can use continue to bypass the current iteration and continue with the next iteration. If you use exit to terminate the loop. Okay. Is everyone clear? Is everyone clear the difference between do loop and while loop?
So continue. Can you show the debug mode of continue?
If you use continue, right, it should not reach right statement. It will go to the next iteration. Check the index. Now index 1. It will never reach the next part. It will continue with the next iteration. Loop index is increasing, right? Loop index is increasing, but it's not executing this part because we are using continue. Within the same loop iteration, it will bypass the current iteration and continue with the next iteration. That's what continue statement. Okay. Now it will go into infinite loop. I just because we are not increasing the counter, I'll stop the transaction. Okay. So exit will terminate the loop. Is everyone clear?